So while I was doing my what seems to be weekly Michael's trip, I stumbled across these guys, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, you know what, this would be absolutely perfect to build a little miniature lawn set. So today we're gonna get started by building the base of the miniature lawn, and I'm gonna show you how you can build this base spending less than $10. So I got these two foam sheets from Michael's. They were $169 each, and then I'm putting them on a foam board that I got from the Dollar Tree for $1. So here's what I'm thinking for our miniature lawn set. So I built these Adirondack chairs before, but I'm thinking on this side of the lawn, I want to have like the two Adirondack chairs and a little fire pit. And then on the left side of the board, I'm thinking we need some gardens and then plenty of open space for like lawn games. So now we need to cut the foam board down to size. These foam sheets are 9 by 12 inches. So our entire set is going to be 12 inches tall and then 18 inches wide. I'm just cutting the foam board with a utility knife, and I'm really hoping and praying that I cut this straight. Okay, so this is what our base is gonna look like. Before I glue on the green foam, I want to kind of sketch out where this fire pit's gonna go, because instead of having the grass underneath the fire pit, I wanted to do like a gravel base. So I'm just sketching out that template now so I can cut the green foam out. So this fire pit area was a little tighter of a squeeze than what I would have hoped. I probably could have made this about 2 to 3 inches bigger and then had more space, but looking at the foam sheets in the store, I thought they were going to be plenty big enough for just 2, and then when I realized I probably needed 3, I was just too lazy to go back to the store. So I cut a fake fire pit out of foam just to help me with sizing, and as you can see, it's a pretty tight fit, so I'm just trimming the grass back just a touch more so they have a little bit more room to maneuver. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. So now we are going to be gluing all of this down. I'm just going to use tacky glue to glue the foam sheet to the foam board. I did forget to pull off the tag, and while pulling off the tag, I ripped a chunk of the foam off. So I'm going to have to cut a little piece later to fill that in. So now that the grass is done, let's talk about this fire pit area. So I got these stones from the thrift shop for 50 cents, which is crazy to me, but we're going to be using this as gravel to fill in the path to the fire pit along with the fire pit. I'm going to be doing a base of just Mod Podge mixed with brown paint. So this will cover the white of the foam board and also make it so the stones will stick to the foam board. So I'm doing this base in sections. First we're starting with the fire pit area because I didn't want the glue to start drying before I had a chance to pour the stones on. So I'm just doing a thin layer of stone and then kind of smoothing across the glue, making sure everything is covered, and then adding a little bit more. Now that the fire pit's covered, we can go back and finish the pathway. But I am really liking the look of this. Now to get the stones to stay, I'm spraying it down with a mixture of white glue and water. Now you have to really soak this to make sure everything sticks in place. I wanted a pretty thick layer, or thick-ish layer of stone, so I really needed to make sure I coated this with that glue mixture. So I gave it about 3 hours to dry, and as you can tell, it's pretty solidified now. I made sure to shake off anything that was loose, but here is what our little fire pit area is looking like. I don't think I'll have a raised fire pit because I think it would just be too cramped, but I think this is turning out so cute. Now I want to add a little bit of edging. I'm just using stones that I took from outside, so they were free. So we're just going to add like an edge with the stones along the fire pit area, and then I'm also going to be starting to map out where the fire pit's going to go and map out where potential gardens could be. So I think this garden is just a little bit too close to the path, so I end up moving that later, but I did want kind of like a corner garden just in case we want to add a tree. But now that I've settled on a general layout, I gotta start gluing all of these stones down. I'm just using tacky glue. I was debating using hot glue, but I wasn't sure how the foam would handle hot glue. So here's what our fire pit area looks like now. I still haven't glued down the actual stones for the fire pit because I don't really know the size-wise that we want to go for, so those are still loose, but everything else is glued down. So now let's talk about fencing, because I was on the fence about whether or not I wanted to put a fence in or not, but I think that would really help tie the area together. So I'm going to make a fence out of popsicle sticks. I got these for $3.99 at Michael's. Now I think I'm going to have the fence run along the back and then along the side. I just gotta trim the popsicle sticks down to size. I feel like the full length is a little too tall, so I'll probably trim about an inch or so off. Yeah, I feel like that's a better height. Now we just need to start putting the fence together. So here I am just experimenting with a couple different fence designs. I really like the look of this one, that it's like a little bit offset, but that would be a lot of popsicle sticks I would have to add and a lot of painting. So I haven't really decided if I like this one. The other option is just straight across with a support bar. I don't know if I like this because I feel like the support bar is like really thick. So what I kind of settled on is doing the popsicle sticks but having two thinner support bars that I made out of a wooden coffee stirrer. I got these wooden coffee stirrers at Dollar Tree for $1. Now I'm just measuring out the size I wanted for the fence. I had to measure this a couple times because you guys know how bad I am at measuring. I think I came up with a good system of just like using the ruler to mark all of them at the same time. So either they're all going to be off or they're all going to be correct. But they all should be the same, so we're gonna see how this goes. So I think the line was straight. I think I did a good job marking the line. I think though where I failed this time was actually cutting the popsicle sticks. I don't think I cut all of them exactly straight. So a few of these are just a little wonky, but I'm sure it will turn out fine. Okay, so now that they're all lined out, I am doing markings right now of where the supports are gonna go. So I'm doing them at 1.5 inches and then 3 inches. I think that will look nice. And this glue came out a little bit faster than expected, so I just need to clean this up a little bit. I don't want there to be too much glue because we are gonna be painting the fence and the paint won't stick to the glue. So I just gotta trim this last one down to size. I am leaving a gap on the supports at either side because the two fences will meet and I don't want the supports being in the way. Okay, now we can get started on the second line of supports. So these supports are the only thing keeping this fence in place. I didn't want to add glue between all the popsicle sticks because, as I said, any excess glue is going to make it really hard to paint. So for painting this fence, I am wanting to do more of like a reddish brown. In my head, I think that will look nice. Now the implementation is always where things kind of go a little wrong. So we're just gonna add a touch of black. I almost added the black directly to the paint and then I thought better of it and added it to this other side of the palette instead, so I can choose how much black goes in there instead of accidentally adding too much. It was a little bit too red for me, so here I am adding a little bit more brown again. I hate mixing paints. I know like you can get the exact color you're looking for by mixing, but I can never match mixed paints. And we'll see that later when one fence and the other fence do not match. And here's the first fence done. Now we can move on to the second. So I really wanted to like add a thin layer of paint so you can still see the wood grain coming through. I feel like this one turned out pretty good. This next one you can see is like a little bit more red than brown, which I wasn't a huge fan of. I just don't think I added enough black to this guy. But now that both fences are painted, we can attach them to our foam board. I really should have done this before I added the grass and the stones, but you live and you learn. And right now is when I'm realizing that the foam board is kind of curved inward. I don't know if I bought a foam board that was curved or when I made up the stones, like the stone pathing, if I got the foam board too wet and it kind of like shrunk in. I'm not quite sure, but it will frustrate me now forever whenever I look at the set. So I'm just attaching the fence now with some regular old tacky glue. So until the first fence is up, I decided to save you guys the 5 minutes of me holding it in place. So now we can get the second fence on. I'm gonna add glue to the side of this fence because I will stick it to like the first fence to hold it in place. And here's a lovely shot of my arm. And here is what our miniature lawn set is looking like so far. So we still need to do all the landscaping, all the bushes and the flowers, and maybe a tree if I think I can build a tree. But we also need to be making some lawn games and a few other things. Here's a running total of what we spent on this miniature so far. I am really trying to do this pretty cheaply, which means I'm going to be building a lot of this myself. Let me know any ideas you guys might have, and I will see you next time.